Hold up, I am on my way. I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 25 Dollar Tree spring DIYs. I have a little bit of everything in today's video, and hopefully you'll get lots of crafting inspiration. For the first one, I'm going to use 2 of the little wood crate boxes from the Dollar Tree, 1 of the wood trays, and 2 of the new wood easel kits that they have at the Dollar Tree. I wanted to try these. They have a little bit more pieces than the old kit, and look, they even have hardware. Like they have like chains, cup hooks and stuff like that, which I'm going to save those and use those for another DIY for sure. But I'm going to use the screws and the little wing nuts to help put this together. I'm going to use 2 kits, and I'm going to use them in a little bit different way. In my last spring craft video, I made a ladder plant stand that you guys really loved using the more traditional easels that they had that were already put together. But these are the new kits. They come with all of these pieces like this. So I thought I could come up with a new design for a ladder plant stand by using one of the long pieces, that is the stand, and then one of the slanted pieces from the easel like that, and putting them together instead of how you traditionally put it together. Now the only problem with that is it does make your screw a little bit too long, but you know what? It's going to be on the back, but I think that that's going to make it a lot stronger to actually use the hardware at the top instead of the hot glue. So we're going to go with it. So as you can see, I am doing the mitered one, the one that's kind of got the slant on it on one side, and pairing that with the straight stand piece like that. So one is straight and one is slanted to the side like that. So the slanted part can come out in the front like that. And then we can make some shelves using the rest of the wood pieces that come with it. To hold those, I found 2 of the little wood crates from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to attach them together with some hot glue to make a larger crate for the bottom of our plant stand, a large flower box. And then I also found one of the wood boxes from the Dollar Tree that is the same width, which is really important, but it's shorter than the 2 put together like that. So that can be the top flower box for the stand. We're only going to have 2 shelves on this. But the first thing I'm going to do is paint everything. I wanted everything to be white, and I thought it would be easier to paint all of the pieces now before I put it all together. This is what I'm thinking, using the smaller wood pieces like this to make little shelves here that we can then put the flower boxes onto. I'm going to need little ledges here for the top too, so I'm going to use my other slanted piece like this, and then I can cut down a couple of pieces of that for the top shelf. So I'm pretty much using most of the wood from the 2 kits like this. So I'm just going to have to cut that piece down to size. Doesn't need to be that long, just I want to do a little bit longer than the flower boxes that I'm going to sit on it. And I am just going to go ahead and cut those down to size now so I can get 4 pieces like that. You could also add wood planks or something like that on these and have wood shelves on this ladder stand instead of adding the flower boxes like I do. That would totally work. So I went ahead and measured about how long I want these to be. And I don't know what I was thinking with that first line. I think I want it to be like right about here. So I'm going to cut all 4 of those the same length. I'm so glad that they have been carrying these at all of my Dollar Trees, these little easel kits. They come in a box, and my stores have been having them down on the bottom shelf if you're looking for them in the crafter square. I didn't like that some of those pieces had holes in them, 2 of the pieces that were the more traditional pieces to go straight across. So I just filled those in with a little spackle so you won't be able to see that in my design. Now I did make a little bit of a mistake with this one. I thought that it would be easier to paint all the pieces before I put it together. And I guess that it is because I'm going to be painting everything white. So I need to paint every surface of all the different pieces here of our ladder plat stand white. The only problem with that is when you're constructing things with hot glue, I use a Gorilla Glue hot glue, and it is really strong, but it's not that strong when you paint a surface first. The wood products from the Dollar Tree always construct so much better when you use hot glue before the paint. So if you are recreating this, what I'm suggesting is the stand itself, don't paint or stain until after you put that together. These wood crates like this and the wood box definitely go ahead and paint and stain those if you want to, because that's not going to cause you any problems in the design. But the easel part, I shouldn't have painted first, and I did have a few problems with that when I went to put it together about strength of the plant stand, and I will show you how I fixed that as well. So I just painted everything white, and for colors that I use a lot like that, I have found that you can get those larger bottles of apple barrel paint like that from Amazon. So I've started getting some larger sizes of those. They're just as cheap on Amazon as they are at Walmart, I believe. And you get, Amazon Prime shipping. So that works out really well. So I'll try to add some of those larger bottles to my Amazon shop, linked in the description of my video as well, since I've kind of switched to some of those. And as you can see, I went over everything. So I went over all of the sides of the little wood planks, all of the sides of the easel, and top, bottom, inside, outside, everything of the flower boxes so everything can be white. Now let's start putting this together. This step is kind of optional. I do have a miter scissors, so I'm just going to cut this off a little bit of a slant there on that front piece, just so it will sit a little bit better. But I think it would work without that too. I just trimmed that off like that because I think that's going to help the design a little bit. And then what I need to do is put our little braces, one on the front and one on the back. This is where I came into the problem with painting it because it just wasn't as strong gluing the painted wood to each other. And so I did have to get a little bit more aggressive with that. What I did was I went up about 1.5 inches on mine. I'm just going to mark that off where I want to put my first row. And I have the slanted part up, as you can see, and the flat part is down on the ground. I used hot glue to attach this part together. I think this would have worked if I would have constructed it when it was raw wood, because I did do that with my other ladder plant stand, just using hot glue, and everything was super strong. But I'll show you what happens with this one. So I go up a 1.5 inches here on the slanted side as well, attaching that with hot glue. And I think the paint just interferes, with the bond a little bit there when you're gluing wood to wood. You could always use some wood glue if you got lots of time to let that set up. And I'm just testing that out to make sure that my bin is going to fit, and that's when it started falling apart already. So I knew that there was a problem. So to fix that, I have some little nails that I got from the Dollar Tree, kind of the medium size ones that are long enough to go through the brace piece and only partially through the easel so they won't be seen. Now I should have drilled holes on these, and I did get a little bit of split wood on these. They're going to be inside the stand, and so I think I can fix it, but if you're going to nail yours, you probably should drill holes. I was just being lazy and didn't want to break out the drill on those. But what I did was I started the nails through them all the way through where they're poking out the back just a little bit, so it'd be easier to start these and nail those into the frame exactly where I was hot gluing them before. And I'm only going to do it for the bottom row here. I think that's going to provide enough structure. And for the other reason is I can't really get my hammer in between the stand to be able to hide the nails like that on the top. And I think it turned out plenty stable this way. So definitely learn from my mistakes and construct yours and then paint it or stain it. Or you could even leave it raw wood. I did think about that. And I am going to nail this other side on as well. And so much stronger using the nails on the bottom and the screws on the top. Now let's try this out again, putting our tray in there. I think that's going to work. I can have my second flower box up here towards the top, trying to figure out kind of where I want to put those. Right about there. And again, not enough room to nail these, and I really don't think that that part's necessary. So I'm just going to attach mine with hot glue, trying to maintain the same width here of our little ladder plant stand. And since I couldn't nail it, I used lots of hot glue. I let the hot glue set up, and then I also added hot glue on top and even a little bit under, but you're not going to be able to see it. So I think that we can hide that. And let's put one here on the other side as well. The one on the front is going to be slanted a little bit because of the slanted wood coming out of the front. So it's not going to sit directly on there, the wood box, but I think we can make it work. So I just reinforce that with some extra hot glue. And I am going to use a little bit of spackle to fix the splitting on the wood that I got from nailing into those thin pieces of wood. I guess that's kind of inevitable if you're going to nail into those without drilling first. So let's go ahead and start planning to put this together. I'm going to add hot glue on the back and on the front. On the front, I kind of do it more towards the very top since, again, that piece is a little bit slanted. And I'm going to hot glue these in place. Now, it's not necessary to hot glue these in place, but I thought it would also help with the stability of the project. And just showing you there that that top corner is where you're going to want to add your hot glue for the front piece again because it is slanted. So let's go ahead and put the top flower box on too. Going to attach that with hot glue the same exact way and gluing these in place. And it turned out so cute. It's a different design than I did before, but I love it. I think it's really cute. I just touched up the top there with a little bit more paint. I also painted my nails there on the front just so they kind of blend in a little bit. And even having longer screws like that coming out of the back, it doesn't really bother me. But you could always use a shorter screw for that or hot glue that together if you wanted to. Now it's time to fill it up with florals. I found some really great spring florals at Dollar Tree today. They have so many pretty ones this year. I am just going to start by filling them up with floral foam. My top box is a lot shorter than the crates on the bottom, so the foam pieces from the Dollar Tree are a little too thick. So what I'm going to do is just cut them in half and just piece everything together. I love cutting this foam with the little pool noodle cutter from the Dollar Tree. It works really well, but really any kind of knife I think would probably work. But I don't have to worry about cutting my silicone mat, which I have tended to do in the past. These are the flowers that we're going to use. They are called wisteria, and I found them in pink and purple today, and they are like a droopy flower like this. They are kind of making my foam come out though, so I quickly learned that I'm going to have to glue all my foam down into my little flower boxes so that when I droop the flowers down, I'm not going to be pulling the foam out while I do that. I thought it'd be really pretty to mix the pinks and the purples together. So what I'm going to do is just shorten these. I'm cutting them off really short there on the wire because I want them to bend and kind of go over the edges of it like that. And I'm going to leave the leaves on them if they have them, just add a little bit more greenery. I haven't added any moss or anything yet because I wasn't sure how thick this was going to be. I'll go ahead and add all of that later. But as you can see, I'm just kind of staggering them out. Like I did 3 pink across, 2 purple in the middle, and then I'll reverse that here on the bottom. I started there with the floral box on the bottom. I have both boxes, but I want to blend them together to make that look like one larger flower box. And so I just keep adding these, alternating them. I do want them coming out of the sides, wherever. They don't droop as much as the greenery that I used on my other flower box DIY. But what I found is if you put them into the foam a little bit at an angle and kind of bend them down a little bit, they droop way better because they're not real flexible, like they're not wired or anything like that. And I really wanted that cascading look of flowers going down my flower box. So I just kept adding and arranging these till it looked really full and beautiful for spring. And I love the pink and the purple colors together. I think that looks so pretty. And then for the moss, I'm using some reindeer moss. I wanted a bright green for spring. And so I'm going to use a package of that and fill in any areas where you might see some of that floral foam there on our flower box. It's almost done. I'm going to add a little bit more of the reindeer moss down here at the bottom. And this project turned out great. I love the ladder plant stand. The only thing is I definitely shouldn't have painted it before I started putting it together because I think hot glue would have worked. But this is how it turned out. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. Now, if you are going to be using yours outdoors, you might want to use a stronger glue, of course, or you might want to nail all of your pieces on for your brace supports. But I think this turned out really beautiful for spring. The combination of all of the pink and the purple flowers, I love that. And it does look really pretty painted white as well, but you might want to paint it after you've constructed it for sure. But I wanted to show you this one. I love crafting with the little easel kits from the Dollar Tree, and making a plant stand is definitely one of my favorite ways to do that. Isn't it so pretty? I wanted to give you a couple views to show you the whole thing. If you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'd really appreciate it if you would hype today's video. Now, have you seen these new flowers they have at the Dollar Tree? They're made out of some kind of resin material. They have 3 different varieties, but I think one of them that I have didn't really look like a flower. So I'm going to have 2 of the same, but that's okay. But I was really wondering what I could do with these, right? And then I came up with this idea. Now, the first thing I want to do is make it colorful. We're doing spring here. We don't want to just do white, but I don't want to cover up the great shading and distressing on these. So I'm going to mix like a little whitewash with some spring colors. The first one I did, I mixed salmon acrylic paint with water, probably 2-to-1 water to paint. And I'm going over trying to like whitewash it so that that distressing will still come through. And I won't have to go back and add all those details in it. As you can see, they're pretty thick and chunky, and I love how that turned out. Look how pretty that looks. So definitely a winner. And I am going to do the same thing here on the other side. I'm just using some little plastic cups that I got from the Dollar Tree. I think those are the little dressing containers, like in the to-go aisle. Great size disposable cups for crafting. And so I did 1 flower in that salmon color. This one I'm going to do in a bright yellow. So again, mixing it with water to make a very thin, kind of a stain. And we're going over this one. I thought yellow would be perfect for this one because it looks a little bit, you know, like a sunflower. And this one has a lot of petals. So I'm going over the whole thing. And it kind of soaks in a little bit. I was drying it with my heat gun. If you find you have too much on there, you can always just kind of blot it off there like I did with a paper towel. And that looks way better. So we're going to flip it over. I also made sure to do the sides on these. And we're going to put these all together, make them into standing flowers, and look like a little flower garden. So the yellow one looks really pretty too. I love the whitewash. It's not like really obnoxiously painted. It's just a tint of color. Now with this one, I used Caribbean blue, and I think I used more water than I intended for the blue paint. So it kind of turned out a little bit thin. I wasn't sure, so I went ahead and did a coat on there and did the sides and dried it to see if it was too thin. And compared to the other ones, I didn't think it was vibrant enough. So I just add a little bit more paint to it to make it a little bit thicker whitewash. I guess color wash, huh? And go over it again, and I liked that a lot better. Again, I want it to be thin, but because I want to see all those details through it, but I also want it to pack a punch of color. So I did that on both sides, making sure to get the sides as well. And these all dried really well. Now, I do want to distress them slightly, even though they already have a distressing. I like adding white to the Dollar Tree flowers. I always think that's pretty. So I just take some white acrylic and a chunky brush, and I'm starting to distress out. And I just kind of work with the shape of the flower. If you get too much on there, you can wipe off the excess paint. With just a baby wipe is what I use. And then we're going to do the same thing here on the yellow flower. And it just adds another color, makes them look distressed. I love distressing things. And I'm going to do the same thing over here with this flower. I think it's okay that I have 2 flowers that are the same because they're kind of on opposite ends here. And I want to make one flower a little taller too. So I'm going to use these Dollar Tree dowels. I'm not going to cut them down. I'll just kind of figure that out when I put this all together. And then I'm using one of these long board signs from the Dollar Tree. This one was already green, and so I thought that would be perfect for spring. So I'm going to leave it its existing color. And I'm going to measure, this one's 18 inches. So every 6 inches, I can have a hole. And I broke out the power tools and got a drill bit that was about the same size as that dowel. I do want it to be sturdy, so you don't want it to go in easily. You do want a little bit of resistance in there. And I went ahead and drilled 3 holes for 3 flowers. Now, I wasn't sure how it was going to be drilling into the flowers, the resin flowers, but I thought we would give it a go. I'm going to go not there on the actual seam, but back a tiny bit, just so I thought it would be easier to drill there. And they were kind of hit or miss. That first one was really easy. This one I had to kind of work my drill a little bit to get it to go all the way in there. But as you can see, the sides of these is not super thick, and you can drill through them. So we have our sign drilled. We have our flowers, just trying these on for size. Looks like they're gonna fit. I will have to use a little bit of glue to attach it to make it a little bit sturdier. So I add some glue there to the hole that I drilled and then add my dowel to it, kind of pushing this one in a little bit to make the side flowers a little bit shorter, but not too much. Just a little bit shorter, just so they're not all straight across. And so this one I'm hot gluing, and this one I don't push in at all, just right there where I need to glue it to it. And so see how that one's gonna be a little bit taller? And then this one, I want to make the same height as the pink flower. So again, some hot glue here, making sure I can get it all the way in and make sure that that is about the same height. And now we can start putting this together. Now I'm going to wrap the wood dowels with twine. I kind of wish I would have done it before. I didn't know how far this was going to go into the sign, so I didn't. But I think it would be easier to do that step now. But this is how I did it. So I just add hot glue to all of the holes and just secure these in place. I think I really chose a good size drill bit because they went in really nicely, but it's also pretty sturdy. This is what it looks like so far. And then I had to start wrapping the stems with the twine. I just attach it with the hot glue there on the back and start wrapping it around. Now I'm using the Dollar Tree twine. It's kind of thin, so it's going to take quite a few times going around this to wrap it all the way. And I found it a little bit difficult because I had to kind of go around the flower like this, right? Otherwise, it would get a little bit tangled up, but I just took my time and wrapped this. I'm also going to be doing little leaves made out of the burlap as well. It's very inspired by the flower I did in my last spring DIY video where I did metal flowers. And I loved the look of the jute twine stems and leaves. I think it's really cute. So I go all the way to the bottom here and hot glue that off, cutting off the excess. I had my string a little long too, which makes it a little bit more difficult. So I'm going to cut this one a little shorter and hope I cut it long enough. And we're going to do the same thing over here with the blue flower. This is why I think it would be a little bit easier to do this before you attach them to the sign, but I already had mine glued in place, so I had to make it work. Shorter is definitely easier though, and I just keep wrapping these. They do have a little bit of a hairy surface on there that, just like rope, that we can burn off here in the end to shape them up. But I think this turned out so pretty. It is a nice big spring display that really you could display anywhere. I think I'm going to do it like maybe in my entryway on my little console table as soon as you come in the front door. I think that would look really cute there. I didn't bother about painting my sign because I want to use some moss there at the bottom. And it's already green, so I thought that was another fun color for spring. And I'm really glad I decided to add some color to these flowers. I think they turned out really pretty. So all three of our little twine stems are done. I just burn off the fuzzies here with my lighter, and we can start DIYing the little leaves. I want to do two leaves per flower. I think that will fit well. I'm just going to go ahead and pre-make them here. So I take that same twine, and I'm working on a silicone mat so I can hot glue to it really easily. I got the silicone mat on Amazon. I have it linked in my Amazon shop as well. These things are fantastic. Hot glue does not stick to them. And this one I think is called the Monster Mat, so it's really big, so you can make as much mess as you want on these. I love mine for crafting. But as you can see, I'm just kind of making a teardrop shape, attaching the ends, and then pulling it straight across for like a little stem down the leaf. So I'm going to make a total of 6 of these. Really easy to do and a really fun little detail. It keeps its shape pretty well, even though it's not wired or anything like that. Just peeling that off the silicone mat now, and I can start hot gluing these to the back of the stem. I want to alternate like 2 on each flower. If you can kind of tilt them up like that, that looks pretty cute too. And then I'm going to kind of alternate which side they're on to kind of mix it up a little bit, make it random, and attach them to all 3 of our flowers. And I think this was such a fun way to DIY these flowers. When I bought these, I really had no idea what I was going to do with them, but this has turned out so cute. This is what it looks like so far. And now it's time to add some moss. Again, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree reindeer moss. I keep buying this and buying it, and I'm like using it as I keep buying it. So I have to keep buying more. And I'm like, how much moss can I possibly need? But then I thought about Easter, and I love covering things with moss for Easter. So yeah, I need it all. I need the moss. Luckily, my stores have been getting so much of it in that I don't feel like I'm wiping it out when I get like 2 or 3 bags at a time. And I'm just using hot glue and I'm covering the writing on this sign. This sign was actually really cute from the Dollar Tree. I actually had this displayed in my master bedroom for a while, like underneath the flat screen TV in there. But I kind of got tired of cleaning around it, and you really couldn't see it too well in there anyway. So I added it back to my craft stash. And just making sure I don't have any holes. I'm not going to do the front of the sign. It's already green, so I think I just need to add the moss to the top. But this is how it turned out, our little spring garden with flowers. This was definitely the first way that I have DIY'd these, but adding, I think, color to these little flowers just made them so much more special. And adding little plant stems on them, I think, is a perfect way to display them. It's so bright and cheerful for spring. I love displaying this in my cabinet in my dining area. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to make a birdhouse for spring. So I picked up a wood birdhouse from the Dollar Tree, just the standard one, and a square wood tray. I thought we could put the birdhouse up on a pole and have a garden underneath. But I did want to decoupage everything. So I thought we could decoupage the birdhouse on all 4 sides. But I thought, I might as well just decoupage the flower box down here, the garden as well. It'll go with it with these beautiful spring flowers from the Dollar Tree. So what I want to do is just cut this napkin in half. I already removed the second layer of it. And then I'm just going to cut it down just because it's way too big right here. I just basically want to concentrate on the flowers. And I'm just going to do a very thin coat of Mod Podge here on the side of my box. And kind of focus on the flower area. I don't want to go all the way to the bottom because it has that like little white line there at the bottom. So I'm basically overlapping on the top and the bottom. Once I get it all on here, then I can go in and remove the excess napkin material. And whenever I have a seam, I always like to rip my napkin instead of cutting it. That way it will blend in. As you can see, I needed the entire napkin. I ripped the edge of that one as well. And I'm going to slightly overlap these. The pattern's not perfect, but I think it'll work. And add that to my Mod Podge, continuing to work my way around until I overlap again, also with the tear. Once I get this on here, I'm not really gonna do Mod Podge over the top of it. I don't really want any excess wrinkling. So the thing I did was I just dried it and then used a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree to remove the excess napkin. Be really careful that you don't tear, but if you do, you can always add a little bit of Mod Podge usually and fix what you tore. But definitely be gentle with it. The napkin material is a very thin one layer at this point, and basically I just want it on the outside of the box here. I found that my sanding sponge pretty much got all of it off. I would only have like a tiny little bit of the napkin to tear there. And that looks pretty good. Everything is glued down. Now we can concentrate on the birdhouse. They have a couple different varieties of spring napkins. They have the round one and they have the gingham one. This is my favorite one though, I think, of the 3. And I'm not going to need it to be very tall. I do want to remove the little white line from the bottom. That way I can line up the base with the base of the birdhouse. I'm going to start here on the side and just kind of see about how wide I need it to be. And I'm kind of breaking my rule on tearing and actually cutting the corners of this so I can go corner to corner. And then I kind of fold it up underneath the roof of the birdhouse so I know exactly how big the napkin needs to be here for the side. And again, just a very thin coat of Mod Podge. You don't want to do too much. It definitely causes wrinkling if you do. And I just lay that right on top. I thought this would be a fun way to decorate the birdhouse to avoid kind of having to try to hand paint it or anything like this, but also adding a lot of personality. So I do the same thing here for the back. I find out the width, cut that, and what I'm going to do is just leave the roof there till the very end. I add Mod Podge all over the back of my birdhouse and go ahead and glue it on without cutting it first. That way I can kind of fold it up inside the roof like that. And then I just very carefully cut off my excess napkin with a razor blade, and then I can have the perfect size for that. We're going to use that same half of a napkin and keep working our way around. The side panels I found were probably the easiest because, again, I could just cut the width, fold them underneath, and then I would know exactly how much to cut. And you can't really see underneath the roof line too much, so if you don't get it cut perfectly, it's fine. For the front, I thought it would be a little bit easier to decoupage this part if I removed the little perch first. I can always reattach that. And again, I'm going to do this similar to how I did the back. So I'm just going to find the width and then just cut out the rectangle and start attaching it like that. I think that looks pretty good. I put Mod Podge all over and then lay this on here and work that underneath the roof line. Now, you're probably going to want to cut this before it starts to set up. You don't want that to get stuck too much on your roof. Mine started sticking a little bit to this, but I was able to get it all off with a baby wipe to get any of the residue off of the roof line. This is what it looks like so far. I do need to cut the opening to the birdhouse. I just do that with a razor blade, being very careful to cut through that napkin. And then I'm also going to reattach the perch just by pushing that through the napkin material back into the hole there on the front. I'm going to have this stand on a pole, I think, and I do want to give it a fun metal roof. So I'm going to use one of these little cookie sheets from the Dollar Tree. They come in the 2-pack. I love using these for like metal roofs and stuff like that. I think they're really cool. They are very delicate though. It's almost like working with aluminum foil. So be very careful with these. I cut down a strip of it that's going to be the right width. I want to be able to overlap the front and the back a little bit to cover the part of the roof as well. So basically, I'm going to be cutting a rectangle to cover the roof, but I'm also making it a little bit larger. And there are rows in this, so you can cut straight lines really easily. And again, be very careful not to push down on it too hard because it definitely wrinkles. I worked mine all the way around so I'd know exactly how long it should be. And then I added it to this, just molding it like aluminum foil around the edges. I didn't use any glue or anything, but it actually molded to it really well. That way this will cover the front and the sides of the roof as well. And it is a shiny metal roof. I am going to be distressing that to make it look a little bit more worn in the weather, but this is what it looks like at this point. To age it, I'm just going to use some brown acrylic paint and a sponge, and I'm just going to kind of go over and distress it, wiping off any excess with a paper towel. You can kind of add and take away from this and add more to get more of a rusty feel. This was my first coat. I do end up distressing it a little bit more here at the end because I really liked the rusty vibes of the metal roof. And then I want to make a pole that will hold this up in a flower bed. Now, this is what I'm going to use for the pole. This is just a yardstake that I got for $1 at Dollar General. Nice piece of wood, and I cut it down to size, probably about 6 inches or so. And I think I'm going to cover that with the metal material as well. I might as well since I have it. You could always stain it or paint it as well, your pole. But I thought this might be a fun metal pole. So what I'm going to do is just cut this down again, trying to get my straight lines, make it long enough, and then I can basically wrap this around like this. I do want it to stay in place though, so I am going to hot glue it closed once I get it overlapped here. And as you can see, it's just really easy to mold around the pole. And even though it's square, I think it's still fun kind of to have a metal pole for this. And I guess you could do this as well with a dowel if you had one large enough, or maybe even a plunger handle would work well too. Just like the roof, I want it to look rusty, so I go over it with a sponge and some brown acrylic paint and wipe off the excess with a paper towel. Just to give it that vintage vibe, I like that so much. And I love distressing everything. Now for the little flower box, we added the flowers to the side, but you can see the raw wood on the very top. So I used that brown paint to kind of just make a stain. And then also here for the base of my birdhouse, this is still raw wood too. So I use that same brown paint to kind of stain that as well. And we will add some more details to that too when we go to decorate this. I want this to stand in a corner, I think. I'm going to do the back right corner. I thought that would be more fun than trying to center it in here. And we can have the birdhouse like standing up in a bed of wildflowers, is what I was thinking. So I used hot glue to attach our pole. And then before I put my birdhouse on there, we can go ahead and start decorating the flower box. I'm just cutting those small pieces of floral foam from the Dollar Tree in half because it doesn't need to be very thick. And then I can just cut pieces down to fit the size box, working my way around the little pole as well, just to fill up the volume back there as well. And then I'm going to cover the entire thing with some reindeer moss. This is not a very thick tray. That's why I had to cut the foam in half. So it's not too thick. And I still have room to add a little moss here for our flower bed. And then for the items I found, I wanted like pinks and purples. So these are lavenders that I actually got at Walmart, I think, because I couldn't find any at Dollar Tree. But they have a similar one at Dollar Tree, about the same scale. And I'm just gonna cut these off and scatter them all over. I'm gonna combine them with the pink baby's breath from the Dollar Tree. I think that these are gonna look great, matching the pink and the purple flowers that are all over those napkins. And so I just cut them fairly short but with enough wire in there that I can push that down into the floral foam. And just using those two colors all over. I add some hot glue to the end of my pole and attach my little birdhouse right on top. Super cute. I am loving it. I thought I would add a little bit of moss to the ledge around the bottom of the birdhouse too. Right here where it comes together, just to add a little bit of greenery up here as well. I don't have a bird quite tiny enough to go in this DIY, but that would be really cute if you did. I just go around all four sides of that, also adding that little tiny bit of moss up there, and I think that was a fun detail. I do want to add a little bit of nesting material inside too, so I add a little bit of Spanish moss right inside to make it look like there's a bird nest inside. And then I went ahead and went over my metal roof and my metal pole with some matte Mod Podge just to kind of tone down the shininess and up the rusty factor on that. And then I did go in and distress it a little bit more with some more brown paint just to make it look really old and rusty. And I think that looks really fun. So this is how it turned out, our little birdhouse spring DIY. I always love decorating with birdhouses and birds for spring, but so many beautiful colors here, again with the pink and the purple, and a fun way to display it in a little flower box like this. I really love how this turned out. It definitely gets you in the mood for spring. Okay, the next project, I wanted to challenge myself to see if I can make a porch swing plant holder. So I picked up 3 of the little pallet signs from the Dollar Tree and 2 of the pallet signs like this, right? I thought those could be the back of my porch swing, and the little pallets that are a little thicker there, those little square ones, can be the seat of my porch swing. And I do want it to recline as well. So I'm going to do a couple things to it to give it a little bit more character. One thing is I want my boards to be spaced out evenly like this. And I do need to connect them together. So I'm going to do that with a Jenga block from the Dollar Tree. I spaced them out so the wood panels are separate like they are all the way across. That's just going to make it look, I think, a little bit better. And for the top, instead of using a Jenga block, I actually used a Dollar Tree popsicle stick to glue that part together. And the reason why is because I want the back to be slanted back, like kind of in a reclining position. I think that's going to give it more character. And so I want the bottom to be kicked out from the wall a little bit. Now for the seat, I just went ahead and glued them end to end, making sure all my lines are kind of going the same direction. I think that's going to look better. To reinforce this one, I'm going to use a popsicle stick here on the back as well. And I think this is just going to make it stronger because it's going to be holding some ceramic pots from the Dollar Tree. I want it to be really strong. I just used hot glue there to attach that. And then this is thick. I can also use my staple gun to reinforce that as well. So we have the back panel and we have the seat to our porch swing. And now it's a challenge of trying to put it all together. I'm going to use one of the wood dowels from the Dollar Tree and glue that here to the back. This is going to allow me to be able to attach it in a reclining position, and it actually worked out pretty well. I made sure to reinforce that with some more hot glue, and then I can sit this on there like this where it can slightly sit back, but that the seat will be level, which will hold my flower pots. I did notice that I needed a couple more of the Jenga blocks, so I loaded up 2 more to kick this out from the wall so that it will go back like that in the reclining position, which is exactly what I want. And now it's just a matter of putting this together. I was trying to decide which position would be the best to attach this, and I think laying down the back like this works the best, and adding hot glue to the wood dowel. And that's just gonna act as a spacer there. It's gonna help me attach the 2 pieces together. If you were gonna go straight up with your back, it would be easier because you wouldn't have to worry about the reclining. But I think it did give it more character to make the back reclining, make it look relaxing like that. I just attached mine with hot glue, and this is what we have so far for a little porch swing. Those 3 Jenga blocks kind of jutting out there on the back, pushing it away from the wall. Then I take my 3rd piece and I just cut off the sides with my saw. You could use just Jenga blocks if you don't have access to a saw to build up the little armrest for your porch swing. But I thought these are the perfect size because they kind of coordinate with what I already used for the seats. But I am going to use wood Jenga blocks to put it together. So I just cut off the end parts. I flipped it over, and then I'm going to attach one of the wood Jenga blocks on each side to make little legs so it looks like this. They kind of stick out a tiny bit, but it's not real noticeable. And then I can attach that to this part of the seat, and it's going to make the perfect little armrest for a porch swing. And it works well with the reclining back too, because I don't have to worry about attaching it to that part. I attached it just like that. That's what it looks like so far. And I love creating little projects like this. I've done like picnic tables and different things. I've done a porch swing before with the easel kits, but this is a different design. I do love how it turned out. I am going to do the same thing here on the other side. I just glued 2 Jenga blocks on to that wood piece and glued that to my swing. These are the pots we're going to be putting on it. These are like I guess the larger of the 2 terracotta plants from the Dollar Tree, and they fit on here perfectly. If you're worried that they might fall off, you could always use like a wood ruler here in the front and make a little front to your shelf. But I'm going to hot glue mine down, so I didn't do that. I didn't want to have to add that if I didn't need to. But that is an option for you. Now to hang it, I did think about using the wire chains from the Dollar Tree, but they're a little bit too large scale for this project. So I'm just going to use twine, and it actually worked perfectly. I tie it to that bottom rung of that like little pallet coaster, come up like that, and then I want it to come down in the front like that. So I wanted to see how long I need it to be. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut a second piece of twine for the other side. And so I went ahead and did that too. So I'm going to do the same thing. I feed it around this bottom section, tying that off just like that, where it can come up and be a hanger for our porch swing. And I think the twine looks good too. I think it kind of matches the vibe of it. I decided not to paint my porch swing or stain it. I'm going to leave it raw wood like this. I think it will hold up better outside. We will see, but you could always paint or stain yours. I did the same thing here on the other side, just tying the twine. This time I had to make sure that I'm going to tie it where it's level. So I did have to test it before I knotted my last string to see about exactly where I need it to be. I'm going to tighten this a little bit more and then just double knotting the twine. And now I have 2 hangers that I think are going to work well if I connect those together to hold our little porch swing plant hanger. I do want to make sure they stay in place, so I did add a little hot glue onto the twine just so they won't slide around front to back. And it's a great hanger. It's pretty hidden here on the bottom of the project, and it seems to work perfectly. Just like this, I go around the little arm holders and put it together like that, where With the kickback on the wall, it just hangs perfectly. And I have a whole bunch of these metal rings. These come with the wood shelf kits from the Dollar Tree, and I never use them, but I saved them in case I ever needed them. Worked perfectly for this. I just used some pliers to open that up, and I strung my two twine together with that ring, and that serves as a hanger too. For the flower pots, I told you I was just going to attach mine with hot glue to make sure they stay on the shelf. I thought that would be the most durable way to do that. You could use a stronger glue if you're going to be using yours outside a lot too. And then I wanted to stick with the pink and purple flower theme, and I wanted to be able to switch it out with different flowers too. So to fill it up, I want it to be lightweight since it's a hanging plant holder. I just used some of the floral moss from the Dollar Tree, and then I found these great daisies from the Dollar Tree in pinks and purples with yellow centers. I think they are so bright and fun for spring. And I'm gonna have enough room for about 3 in each one of my little mini flower pots here. These do like to bend a little bit. A pro tip for that is to use your heat gun or a blow dryer. It makes them look so much better and fluffed out, as you can see there. And I'm gonna do that with my pink ones as well. My favorite thing about this project is I can just swap out the flowers. I could use this for any season. And Dollar Tree always has great florals, so looking forward to using this one. I think I'm gonna actually put this out in my Florida room, and I think it's so fun. It definitely goes with the vibe out there, and I love the spring colors. I did one pot of the lavender and one pot of the pink flowers, and let me show you how my little porch swing plant holder turned out. I love DIYing with Dollar Tree wood. I've made some really fun things, like a little porch swing with the easel kit that hangs it, but this is definitely a different take on it, making a little plant stand like this. The great thing about this is it's versatile. I can change out the flowers for each season, but the pink and purple, I love that for spring, and I think it turned out really fun. What do you guys think about this one? For this DIY, we're going to use these new spring plates this year. Aren't they so beautiful? I picked up a dinner plate and a salad plate, and we're going to make a little tiered tray using one of their candle holders. I picked up a pink one, so I don't even have to paint it. I think it's perfect for a spring tiered tray. So I'm simply going to remove the tags from the bottom of these. I love this pattern. I think it's so pretty. You could also use this as a dessert stand, and you could even put a pedestal on the bottom of it if you want. I want mine to be a tier tray, so I'm just going to do the large plate on the bottom, the smaller plate on top. And this is going to be the perfect little tier tray for my kitchen for spring. And the fact that it's plates really kind of goes with the theme as well. The flowers are towards the outside, so you'll be able to see some of them peeking out. To attach it, I need a really strong glue. So you're going to want to use like an E6000 or a Gorilla Glue. I'm just going to go here on the outer edge where it is going to make the most contact with the plate underneath, and then a little bit of hot glue on the inner ring so I can have some short-term hold, but I don't really want to mix the two kinds of glue together. And I stick that right in the center of my dinner plate, right side up for the candle holder, and that's going to provide a great foundation for the top of the tier tray. Again, I use the Gorilla Glue here along the edges where it's going to make the most contact with the plate above. And this time I used some of the Dollar Tree double-sided tape. I thought I would probably need to stack two pieces, but that ended up being a little too thick because when I put my plate on there, it seemed to make contact with the double-sided tape, but not really with my Gorilla Glue. So I'm going to peel that off. I am going to use the double-sided tape. That is a great way to temporarily keep it on there, but this time I'm only going to do one layer and then add a little hot glue to that as well, and then sit it back on here. The Gorilla Glue is really going to help hold this together, and we have a tier tray. Wasn't that so easy? And it's so beautiful for spring. I don't want anything on the bottom. I want it to be flat so it's nice and stable, but I think it is ready to decorate. For a little bit of filler and to cover up some of the words on that top plate, I'm going to use just some reindeer moss, and I'm going to decorate the top of it first, just a few pieces here scattered around, and we can add our DIYs and finds to this. The first one's going to be a DIY. I found this great little birdhouse at the dollar spot at Target. It was only $1, but it's already painted pink. It's a little mini birdhouse, so I think it's going to be perfect. I'm going to combine it with a Dollar Tree wood slice ornament and one of their wood stems to make a standing birdhouse to give it a little bit more character. I just attached the wood stem to the wood slice with a little bit of hot glue, and I'm going to glue this right on top. Now, you could do this with the Dollar Tree birdhouses. They are a little bit larger though, and I love the pink and white stripes on the roof of this. I think it's really cute. I attach it with hot glue, and then to decorate it, I'm using a little of the reindeer moss and attaching that to the wood slice. It covers up the ornament hanger, but I don't want to cover up the entire thing. I want some of the wood showing through. So I think this piece is ready to go. Super easy. And it's nice and tall, so I can put it here on the top of my tier tray, right here in front. So cute. It goes with my bird theme today. And I'm going to do a bird theme for the top of this tier tray. And see how the flowers like slightly peek out? The next item for our spring tier tray is a little bird's nest with some eggs in it. I think I got this maybe at TJ Maxx one time, like with a 3-pack or something, but I use it for my spring decor and for Easter. I think it's perfect. You could recreate it. I showed you how to make a Dollar Tree nest. Now for the next item, I got this little bird at the Target dollar spot. It's a little blue bird. It's ceramic. It's painted. It's perfect. And that's going to go great here on the tier tray. I'm going to put it behind the bird's nest a little bit lower, but you can still see it peeking through right about there. And then for a little bit more filler, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree little foam flowers. So these are the light pink little foam flowers from the crafter square. I'm going to like scatter some of these around, not too much. They're pretty pink. You could also use some real flowers for that as long as they're kind of small. And maybe a little bit more moss to fill out the top tier. For the bottom tier, I wanted to do more of a gardening theme. So I'm going to scatter a little bit more of the reindeer moss down here to get us started. And the first thing I'm going to use is a little frog. A frog could be found in a garden, right? This little guy's laying down, and I love the way that they have these this year. They're painted so nice. I'm going to have him laying down here in the back of my spring tier tray, peeking out a little bit on the side. And let's get some light down here as well so you can see. The next item I found is a little pair of garden rain boots that I got at the Target dollar spot for $1. I think I got them there a couple of years ago, but they're always great for a tier tray. I'm going to put mine over on the side. The next item is just a couple of flower seeds that I got at Dollar Tree. Some spring flowers. I thought that would go fun with the gardening theme down here. I'm going to use them as decor, and then later I can plant them. So I just piled them on like that. Some morning glories on top for a little pop of color. The next item we're going to use to decorate it is one of the little watering cans. This was a yardstake that I got at Dollar Tree. I just removed the metal yardstake from the bottom, and now we have a little watering can that is just the right size. I also have some of the little wood mini flower pots from the Dollar Tree, and I thought I would just scatter a couple of these on there. I'm not going to paint them or anything, but I thought it would go nice with the gardening theme down here just to kind of toss a few of these around. I think they look a little bit better in the moss. I'm going to toss a couple of them over here next to the little rain boots. And then we only have room for maybe one more thing on the bottom tier. I'm going to use these pink and white spring flowers I found from Dollar Tree. They match the pink and white stripe on the birdhouse on the top, and I think it ties it all together. I'm going to put it right here in front, and then maybe turn this little guy around so you can see it a little bit better, a little watering can. And isn't this a cute little spring tier tray for my kitchen? It was so easy to do. And I have made a tier tray with the blue hydrangea plates they have this year too, but they have these as well. These are kind of a different look, really bright and festive with the pink and the purple flowers on there. I really love that, but it was a really easy tier tray to do. And whenever I can DIY my own little tier tray like this, it's so much fun. I like the idea of a plate tier tray in my kitchen too. Kind of goes with the vibe of a kitchen, right? But this was really easy to do. Most of these projects were just finds that I had to put together, and I love how this one turned out. What do you think? Check out this beautiful sign that I found at the Dollar Tree. It's almost perfect. Look how thick it is. I was really impressed with how thick this is, because you know that's always my biggest gripe about Dollar Tree signs. Now, it looks like there's supposed to be like 3 boards, and it is cut out that way, but it's not like actually 3 slats of boards. So I thought we could make it look a little bit more like 3 slats of boards just by cutting it. Not all the way through, just a little bit. So I'm just using one of those squares from the Dollar Tree and a razor blade and just following the ruler, cutting a straight line between the boards. Then I thought I could sand it up, rough it up a little bit. Whenever I use like a paper covered sign like this, I do like to rough it up a little bit. I think it makes it look a little bit more hand painted. Now, I didn't think you could really see that seam very well, so I went back over it with like that Cricut weeder tool to kind of carve that out a little bit deeper. And I think that looks really cool. I like the fact that it looks like separate boards now. And this is the flower that we saved from the flower arrangement. I thought it would be so pretty to attach this sign because it's very similar to what's in the picture. I just need to drill a hole. I'm just using a screw just because I didn't have my drill handy. So I just need a hole, but I don't want like a very big hole. I just want it big enough for that stem of that flower to go in there. That way I can leave the stem on there and the flower won't fall apart, because I found with Dollar Tree signs, if you take that backing off, the whole flower falls apart. So just using my weeding tool to try to make that hole a little bit bigger. I just want it to be the perfect size so it'll grip against that. And just slide that flower in. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And it totally matches the colors. I am just going to use a dot of hot glue on the back just to make sure it stays put, even though I think it probably will. Now, the only thing I have left to do on this sign, because it's so cute to start with, is I wanted to replace the hanger. So I'm going to use some of these wood beads from the Dollar Tree. These have little rainbows on them. Mine has like rainbow colored ones, white ones, black ones, and the painted ones. And so I am just going to use one end. I'm going to cut that tassel off because I want to save that for sure. And then we'll just replace what's already here. Now they had it stapled on, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull that off with some pliers. And then I'm just going to staple my wood bead garland on there just by tying a knot and stapling that down. Now they had stapled it down, and so I thought, this is a thick sign, I can staple it down. Now my staples may have been a little bit bigger than theirs because I did have like one end of the staple kind of poke through a little bit, but we're going to work with it. I'm going to make it about the same size as our old hanger. And I'll definitely have to save that little rainbow on the end of that for St. Patrick's Day. Now, don't worry if you voted for something other than spring. I have tons of St. Patrick's Day, Easter, spring, even some coastal. I know there's people in there asking for coastal, and it's all coming. You know, I spoil you with lots of videos. So I just tied a knot and stapled that one to the back as well. And I think this is so pretty for spring, and how easy was that? So be on the lookout for spring signs like this from the Dollar Tree. You can just add a few touches to it and make it so pretty. Anytime I can add like a flower and make it more of a 3D sign, I always love that. And I think that this pink flower is perfect for this particular sign. And anytime I can find a Dollar Tree sign that doesn't have glitter on it, I love that. My favorite. Now for the next DIY, I found this great battery operated spring candle at the Dollar Tree. They had a couple varieties. This one's got beautiful spring flowers all over it and butterflies. And I thought we could DIY one of their candle holders to make it look really beautiful for spring as well. So I just picked up a plain white ceramic one and some reindeer moss and some flowers, and I thought we could just decorate the entire candlestick. Since it is a faux candle, flameless candle, I don't have to worry about any kind of fire risk, so I can kind of just go crazy with the moss down here. I start here on the sides, and just taking a piece at a time, I'm going to glue those on there. I just tried to get as thin a piece as possible so that it would go pretty far, but I also wanted really good coverage over the white candle holder. My vision for this was I wanted lots of moss, basically covering everything that you're going to see, and then I can cover it with some tiny flowers from the Dollar Tree and some of their baby's breath. I think that would be really pretty. And maybe even a butterfly, since I have a butterfly on my candle. I have crafted with the other version of the flameless spring candle from the Dollar Tree. And so I wanted to do a different version of it. And I love the bright colors on this one. So as you can see, I covered every surface except for the very top where you won't be able to see underneath the candle. And then I just go in with my scissors and give it a quick trim so it retains the shape of the candle holder so it's not too wild. And then I can take the moss that I cut off and use that here for the bottom edge to cover up any of the white ceramic that might be peeking out. So this is what we have so far. And then I thought the baby sprouts from the Dollar Tree, the little tiny ones like this, would look so pretty if I cut them into little individual pieces like this and add these with like some slightly bigger flowers from the Dollar Tree and spring colors. And then I remembered I have a new toy. You guys really recommended that I get one of these hot glue skillets when I'm doing florals and stuff like this. So I picked this one up on Amazon. I think it's the large one. It seems pretty large. And I also picked up some of the glue for it, which looks like glue sticks just cut up. It said not to turn it all the way to high, so I turned it probably 2/3 of the way to high and plugged mine in. Now, the verdict is I absolutely loved this. This really made it so much faster to glue the ends of my flowers. I think for wreath making and stuff like that, this is really going to come in handy. But while I am melting all of that hot glue in my little skillet, I thought I might as well prepare all my flowers. So I tried to find the tiniest flowers I could find from the Dollar Tree, different whites and yellows, and a couple different kinds of pink. And if they had a stem, I just pulled it off. If they didn't, like the pink baby's breath that you see there, I would cut that. And then this is the butterfly off the onion grass. I thought that would be a fun touch on there as well. It's a little bit bigger than I wanted, but I think we can make it work. I just gave mine a quick iron with my heat gun to straighten that out and getting everything ready to put this together. Now, I was a little worried when I was dipping my florals in there that I was going to burn myself on the hot glue, but you know what? I never even touched it. I had no problems whatsoever. I'll be sure to add this little hot glue skillet to my Amazon list linked in the description of today's video. I'll put it under crafting essentials. That's usually where I put my hot glue items. And you can check one out if you are in the market for one. But as you can see, all I have to do is dip the stem of the flowers into that hot glue and attach it. I did baby's breath all over, and then I switched to flowers. Just different, I got 2 different kinds of white and 2 different kinds of pink, and I thought I would just vary those and just go all the way around. Overall, I was a big fan of the hot glue skillet. The only thing that I didn't like about it is that it doesn't have a lid. And for storage purposes, I'm going to have this on my workbench, and things get a little messy out here with me crafting all the time. So I need to either store it in its box or find a lid. Maybe I can DIY a lid for this. So I don't want to get any like wood chips or dust or anything like that in there to mess up the glue the next time I melt it, because it hardens up and then you can melt it again. Now, the only thing I have left is the butterfly. I'm going to do it right here at the base. I added hot glue to it as well, and this is ready to go. All I have to do is add the battery-operated candle, and look how fun for spring this little candle is. I think that adding all of the fun flowers and everything to the candle holder really made this special. The candle itself is pretty for a battery operated candle. A lot of times I don't like them because they are so plain and they're not the easiest to DIY, but this was so fun and I was really glad to try out my little hot glue skillet. It worked really well for adding all the little florals and stuff like that to the moss. This is what it looks like lit up. And it's got like a flicker, which I love because I usually prefer real candles because of the flicker. And the Dollar Tree candles are not always my favorite, but this one was really nice. So keep a lookout for these. Let me show you the flicker. I picked up a metal flower from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could use one of the little metal round signs from the Dollar Tree to make a stem for the flower. Now it does have a hanger on here. I'm just going to use pliers to take that off. And I kind of wanted to take the entire thing off so it wouldn't get in the way. So I just kind of twisted around that part on the back of the petal, trying not to cause any damage on the petal itself. I like the blue color of this one already, so I'm going to kind of go with that. I love the blue for spring. I do just want to add some fun details to it. Now for the stem, I thought about painting it green like a stem for a flower, but I thought it would be even more fun to wrap it in twine. So just starting at the top, I'm just going to wrap the entire thing with twine all the way to the base. So it doesn't really matter if you get the white sign or the black sign like this. You're not going to be able to see that part of the sign anyway. The metal circle on there is just the right size to kind of hide behind the flower and give you a way to attach it. Now I burned off the fuzzies there on the twine, but I thought I could also make some little leaves out of the twine as well. I thought that would be really cute. So I'm going to cut a piece of twine that I can kind of circle together like that to make a little leaf. So I just glue it together like that. I thought about doing this with the wired twine from Dollar Tree, but when you work with smaller pieces like this, the wire always likes to come out. And this actually kept its shape pretty well. So I just glued that on, but then I decided I wanted a little bit more detail on it. I wanted like the vein to go down the middle of the leaf. So I cut out another piece of twine and just kind of glued that straight across like that. I think that looks really cute. So I'm going to go ahead and do another little leaf here for the little flower stem. So I'm going to cut another piece down. This time I'm going to go ahead and just add the stem first. It's easier that way, adding a second piece of twine to go right down the middle. And then I can attach that. I'm just gluing these to the back of the stem. And I'm going to have this one kind of go up a little bit. I think they're really cute. I like the base on this. I thought about covering it with some moss, but I kind of like the simplicity of it just being wood. For the center of the flower, I'm also going to use the Dollar Tree twine. I just start in the middle with some hot glue, and I'm just going to start working in a spiral all the way out. It provides a great center. These metal flowers, sometimes the centers don't look great, but I think that a little detail like this can really make it look cute, and it's going to tie it in together with the stem and the leaves. I'm also going to distress it a little bit with some white, just kind of working my way out. It's kind of a soft color already, but again, I really like to distress these. I burn off any fuzzies there on the leaves and the center part of the flower with my lighter, and we can put this together. Now, I know metal does not like the hot glue, and this is metal and metal. So what I decided to do was to use some of the double-sided tape from Dollar Tree. It's pretty strong. In addition to the hot glue, to make this stronger, and I just attached this like this to cover the metal circle. That's when I noticed that you could really not see the top leaf there, so I am going to move that down a little bit so you can see that better. I can just use my heat gun here, peel it off, move it down a little bit where you can see it a little bit better, and glue that to the back. But I think that was a really easy DIY for spring. And how beautiful is this? I love it. The blue color of this flower really matches the decor in my home. I just had to add a few extra touches to it. The twine stem, the leaves, the little center of it. But I love displaying it like this. It's similar to the way that I did like the little faux wood flowers from the Dollar Tree. I thought we could use these adorable little chunky, I guess they're called breadboards, from the Dollar Tree, and 3 of the little Dollar Tree wood signs and a plunger handle. And I thought we could build a toolbox that we could fill with flowers for spring. I've seen some really pretty flowers in toolboxes, and I thought, that'd be really kind of fun to try to make. But I've actually seen these for sale at the Target dollar spot since I made this. So you could cheat, I guess, but it was really kind of fun to put this together. Now, the plunger handle is a great dowel for $1.25. The only challenging part is getting that sticky sticker off. So I'm just going to use some heat and a blade, and we're just going to scrape that off. Now, since all of this is going to be raw wood, you could like stain this. Probably do it now if you're going to stain it, or use Antique Wax by Waverly. I'm going to paint mine, or you could leave it natural wood. It's really pretty. But that is the advantage of using all of this real wood stuff. And I love how much wood stuff they have at the Crafter Square anymore. They're really bringing it for us crafters, and I appreciate it. Dollar Tree, I see ya. So I'm just going to remove the hangers from these 3 signs. They make those signs in 2 different sizes. I think that this is the smaller one. It's a perfect size for this DIY. I need one for the bottom and then one for each side. I'm just going to stand the little breadboards up like that, and it's going to make the perfect sides for a little toolbox. Now, I'm just using Gorilla Glue hot glue. I find that it works really good for wood. You could always use wood glue if you'd like, or you could even nail or screw this together if you wanted yours to be really heavy duty. But we're just going to use hot glue here. And so I just try to keep that as square as I can. And just trying to clean up this second one. We're going to do the same thing here on the other side. And can you kind of see how it's coming together? These are like the sides of the toolbox. And then I'm going to put another sign on the front and the back, and the plunger handle is going to be the handle for the toolbox. It's kind of a small one, but it was perfect for what I needed in my entryway. So I'm just kind of making sure everything looks square, and then we can go ahead and start attaching the side. Now, it's not quite as long as the sides as that breadboard. Just trying to decide exactly where I want it. It's okay if there's a little gap at the bottom, because I'm not going to be putting any dirt or anything in there. If you were, you would probably want it to be a little bit more secure there. But I'm just going to hot glue that to this breadboard side, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other. I'm not going to worry about the holes in this side. It's just going to add a little bit more character to the toolbox. And if you wanted, you could even probably put nails in those. So that looks pretty good. So now once the glue dries, we can just flip this over and do the same thing on the other side with that third sign. Now, I discovered it'd probably be easier just to put the hot glue on the sides of the breadboard, but don't do like I did, because I put way too much. I forgot that it was taller. So I'm just trying to clean that up while this is drying. And we have pretty much the main structure of the toolbox built like that. Now it is time for the handle. I'm going to use the plunger handle. And the only thing I'm going to need to do is figure out how long it needs to be. Now, if I were smart, I would measure, but I never measure. So I'm like, I'll just put this on here. I'll just draw a line with my pen. I'm going to take it to my saw. I'm going to cut it. It's going to be perfect. But I should have measured, because look, it was a little bit too short. Now, if I wanted to use screws on the end, I could have probably made it work, but I just cut off another sliver of that, and we're just gonna patch it and pretend like I measured. Too busy crafting to measure, So once I get it painted, you'll never know that I did that. So I'm gonna try it on now to see if it fits. And it fits like a glove. Now I do want that to be glued in, so I'm going to take it out and just put a dot of hot glue on each side and put it back in there before the hot glue sets up. And there is our little toolbox for flowers. My plan is to fill this with tulips for spring, and I think it looks really pretty. I told you guys before that I was going to paint it. I'm going to display this on a blue table in my entryway, so I'm going to do ivory and kind of make it look coastal and distressed in the process. And hey, I have a plunger laying around, so I might as well use it. Works great for holding paint. So we're going to use just ivory acrylic paint and a brush. Basically, I'm going to paint anything that's going to be visible, the handles, the sides, even like the tops of the signs there on the sides, anything that you're going to be able to see. But otherwise, I'm not going to paint the inside and stuff like that, because why paint it if you're not going to be able to see it? So just painting this all over. And again, I think this would be really pretty if you wanted to stain it or something like that too, because you'd bring out all that beautiful wood grain in the wood as well. Just kind of doing a rough and dirty coastal coat. It's okay if some of the wood shows, because I'm going to distress it anyway. You know me. So just making sure I have a pretty good coverage. I also sanded down a little bit just because the breadboard was cut a little rough and the signs were cut a little rough in some areas. Just trying to clean it up a little bit. And I like to sand to distress anyway, so we're just going to kind of sand all over until it looks a little bit cleaner. And it also gives it a nice light distress on that paint. Now I do want to distress it further, so I'm also going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly and like a little chippy brush from the Dollar Tree, and just working in one direction, I'm going to distress, going over with a baby wipe to kind of remove the excess. I just want a light distress, especially around like the edges, kind of any details. That really gives me that coastal vibe or feel. To the ivory, if you feel like you use too much, you can always go back with your original color and distress it some more. And then I'm also going to do the same thing on each side of our toolbox. Now I'm going to use fake flowers for this, so I'm going to use a floral foam inside. I found some really beautiful tulips at the Target dollar spot, and I thought they'd be perfect for this. So using some Dollar Tree foam, we're going to try to fill this up. It was a little bit bigger than my foam, but that's okay. We will just kind of piece this together with one of the skinnier blocks, just cutting that down to size. We're going to make this work. I love this floral foam from the Dollar Tree because it's so easy to cut. And you know, you can make about anything with it. I've even made buoys out of this floral foam just because it's so easy to carve. Okay, I thought this would be a good time to use some reindeer moss to line the top of it. That way I don't have to go back and try to fill this in after I put the tulips in there. So just kind of doing a layer of reindeer moss all over. This older gentleman at the Dollar Tree had to tell me a joke when about my reindeer moss there the other day. He said, "Do you know how fast those reindeer are? We have to like try to catch those to get the moss off of them." I gave him a cute little ha-ha. Now these are the tulips that I found at the Target dollar spot. I love the colors and I think they're going to be perfect. I love that there's blue ones. And they're prettier than anything that I've seen at the Dollar Tree, because I've never really seen like a pretty tulip at the Dollar Tree. Post in the comments below if you have. Maybe I've just been unlucky. But I really wanted tulips for this. I thought that would be perfect. So I'm just kind of trying to space them out evenly, alternating the colors up like that. Now I didn't want it to look like too symmetrical, so the other ones I'm going to kind of go in and try to like put them in the gaps in between the ones on the other row, the back row, just for a little variety. So about halfway in between I'm going to put one just to stagger them a little bit. Just kind of mixing the colors up. So I'm going to use like one less on this side because I did that, but I like the variety of it. And that's it, our little spring toolbox filled with tulips. I love this DIY for spring, and I hope you do too. Now I'm just putting a little bit more reindeer moss in there just to make it look super full. And this is how it turned out. Isn't it pretty? And Dollar Spot at Target has these beautiful tulips again this year. This is a great way to display them. I love the idea of a toolbox flower box. Really easy to make if you can find some of the little wood board, breadboards like that for the sides. Otherwise, it kind of just makes itself with Dollar Tree wood. For this one, I want to do a giant burlap flower, and I need a base. You could use a round sign for this. I chose a square sign because I really kind of wanted some color to peek out of the sides. I just had a leftover fall sign, and you're really not going to be able to see anything but the corners, so I don't really care that there's a pattern on there, but I did want it to be pink, and so I used some pink acrylic paint just to go all over, and that is going to be my background sign for my giant burlap flower. This is the burlap that I'm going to use. This is the 18-inch burlap roll from Walmart, but you could also use some of the Dollar Tree burlap as well. I opened mine up and folded it like a triangle to go down to match the other side so I could cut out a perfect 18-inch square of this, which is way too big for my flower petals. So then I fold it in half, cutting that in half, and then I'm going to cut each one of those in half. And so instead of 18 by 18, each piece is now 9 by 9 inches. And I think that's going to be the perfect size for my petals. I'm going to go ahead and cut down some twine for this. And let me show you how I put my petals together. I fold it up and then I fold it down like that so the tips meet. Then I pinch it in the middle and then I pinch it side to side like that. And then I tie it off with some twine. I'm going to double knot that so it'll stay put. The petals will be bent like that to go out to the sides. And we're going to do a couple layers with this flower too to make it nice and full. This would be really pretty too if you had a colored burlap as well. Again, I match up the ends, I pinch it in the middle, and then I pinch it from side to side, tying that off with my twine, and I have another 2 petals for my flower. So I needed to cut down another piece. I went ahead and cut down some more of these 9-inch by 9-inch squares, and we're just going to keep assembling these. I wasn't sure how many of these I was going to need, so I thought I would just do a bunch of them and see where that got me with the flower. And it was really easy. The only thing I really wanted to do was to make sure to have my twine cut down first so I wouldn't have to worry about that when I had this all pinched perfectly into a petal. And I wanted to use the twine because it will blend in a lot better with the burlap instead of like a zip tie or anything like that. But as you can see, making the petals themselves are really easy. Now I wanted to kind of see how far I could get with what I have here. So they're all going to be bent like that going out to the side. And I was trying to decide if that was full enough, if it needed another petal. And then I was trying to decide maybe I should even do a second layer to the flower, which I do end up doing. But for this layer, I think that 6 of them, so 6 individual bundles, is going to be plenty for this layer of the flower, and then I can add in more. So what I did was I took the 2 next to each other, tied those together with twine as well, double knotting that to keep that all together. And like it'll still go together like that really nicely. And then I'm going to do that there with my other 2 bundles as well, just tying them together like that. This was such a fun flower to make. Now, if you didn't want to see the sign in the back, you could use like a smaller round sign, something that you could attach back here just to give it a little bit more structure than just the burlap. Once I have my 3 bundles all tied off, I just used hot glue to glue mine to the sign. Right here, I will have like a little opening in the middle for the center of my flower. And I do the same thing here with the other 2 bundles. And since I wanted my flower to be nice and thick, I'm going to go in here with a second layer. And I was trying to decide how many I needed. I think I need maybe 2 more of those. So let me cut out a few more and gather those together. I don't need quite as many as I needed on the bottom row, but I think this will make my giant burlap flower look even fuller by having a second row of petals. And I don't mind if the burlap unwinds a little bit, as long as it's not too much, I'll pull any extra strands. So I took these 2 bundles and tied them together like that. I'm going to do the same thing here with my other 2 bundles. And tying them together like this really made this project a lot easier, I think, than trying to attach them all individually. Now that I have my 2 bundles like this together, I can add them all together. I'm going to tie the 2 bundles together here in the middle. And basically it's going to fill up the entire center and any of the gap that I had there in the first flower. I'm just going to attach that right on top of this one, kind of staggering out my petals a little bit, and I just attach it with hot glue, burlap to burlap. Now for the center of the flower, I needed something round, and I thought I would do something fun. Make mine a little bit more of a coastal spring flower by using one of the Dollar Tree sand dollars that they used to have from the Shore Living section. I have a huge stash of these. I love them. Really, you could use any kind of a wood circle, but I thought this would be a fun touch. I'm going to paint mine like a Caribbean blue color just to add some more fun to go with the pink sign on the back and the burlap. I think this is going to make it look kind of coastal, and it's going to be the center of our flower. So I think that's really fun. I just used hot glue to attach my sand dollar here to the middle of our burlap flower. And I think this is really whimsical and fun. It looks so cute hanging on my wall. It's actually a pretty big piece. And I do like the little pink sign in the back, adding a little bit of character to it. I did decide to switch out the hanger that was on the sign with just some of their wood bead garland, just to add another fun texture. I'm just going to leave the wood beads like this natural wood color. And I think that's going to add a fun little coastal flair to it as well with the wood on there. What I did was I just tied that onto the existing hanger here in the back. Instead of reattaching with staples or anything like that, I added the decor without actually taking it apart like that. I'm just going to go ahead and staple that one down to kind of keep it out of the way. Now, I like it so far, but I thought we could add even a little bit more fun by using some pink flowers from the Dollar Tree and having some petals like coming out kind of in the middle of the flower underneath the sand dollar and peeking out. So what I did was I took apart some of these pink cosmos flowers and I basically want the petals cut like this. So I went ahead and cut them in half where I could tuck those behind the sand dollar and just add like another little color section of the flower just to add to the floral aspect of it. I just used a little dot of hot glue and kind of slid these underneath my sand dollar. It might be easier to attach these before you add the center to your flower, but this was a last minute addition and I'm glad I did because the pink goes well with the pink sign in the back and it really added a fun floral touch. So it's not all just about the sand dollar and the coastal. It also has a lot of spring vibes to it as well. So as you can see, I just work those together like that. After I cut them in half, I can overlap them like that and make it look really full like a flower. And I just did that all the way around, pulling the flowers off and cutting them in half and gluing them under the sand dollar. It's almost complete. I really love the pinks and the blues together. I think the final thing I wanted to do was just take a little bit of ivory and distress my little sand dollar just a little bit to make it look a little bit coastal farmhouse there. Not too much though, just a little bit of distressing on that. And here it is, our giant burlap flower. Now I did a little coastal touch on mine with the sand dollar, but you definitely don't need to do that. You could use really anything circular for the center. Maybe one of the little wood circles that come in the 3-pack of wood circles they have at the Dollar Tree now and the crafter square. That would work, but I loved how this giant burlap flower turned out. Let's DIY a wall succulent garden using one of these boxes I got on clearance after Christmas at the Target dollar spot. If you weren't as lucky to find these, they have them every year, it seems. You could also use like the smaller version available at Dollar Tree, or you could get the individual boxes at the Dollar Tree and just glue them together in any pattern like this you wish, like the 3x2. And we're going to fill them with succulent. So I'm just going to kind of use whatever floral foam I have left over from other projects from the Dollar Tree to try to fill this up. It doesn't have to be filled up all the way, but I'm going to need enough foam in there to be able to put the succulents in. And so I'm just going to kind of piece together the pieces that I have. You're not going to be able to see them, so it's not going to matter if it looks like a hot mess in there. And then I gathered all my succulents I've used in previous DIYs or that I had laying around from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a succulent wall garden. Now, since it's going to be hanging on the wall, I don't want these falling out, so just securing all of the foam to the back of the box. And then we can start filling this with succulents. Now I have like succulents in pots from the Dollar Tree. I have the succulent stems. I have some that are in like glass sand jars. I have like, basically I went and grabbed all my succulents. I always save them after DIYs or tier trays and stuff like that. So this is a great use for them. Now, since it's going to hang on the wall, I need a hanger. And so I'm going to use one of these these are the sawtooth hangers that have the nails already attached. My absolute favorite. I think I got these at I don't know, Home Depot or Walmart. Probably need to pick some more up because they're so easy. Just nail it right in there, and now we have a hanging shelf. The Christmas trees part is on the top of the sign, luckily, so I don't have to worry about painting the sides or anything like that. You're not going to be able to see it when I hang this up on the wall. Now, these blue ones, the blue succulents from the Dollar Tree, are my favorite. The stems are a little too long, so I'm just cutting those down with some floral scissors from the Dollar Tree, kind of spreading those out. But I do want like a variety of colors, so I'm going to mix like yellows, browns, greens. I'm going to try to make it as colorful as I can for spring. I kind of want them to look like flowers, but a different kind of a flower thing. Now, if you wanted to get real ambitious, you could do this with real succulents, and that would be great for like a spring porch DIY or patio. That'd be so cute. So, this is about the level of plant that I can keep alive, which I can't keep any plant alive. Now, some of these didn't have stems, so I'm just kind of mixing and matching, and we're going to make this work one way or another. I want like at least 2 in each box. We can fill in the rest of that later, but I want the box to be as full as I can. And I really love the variety of the succulents and the different colors. Just for a little variety, I'm going to put 3 in that one. And just waiting for the glue to dry on this stem, we can put that in there. Some of these succulents I've had forever. I had to glue them back together just because they were falling apart. And then to cover up all the mess that you can see, I'm just going to use some Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree, just hot gluing that to the foam that is exposed, and that's going to give it a beautiful finished look for our little wall succulent garden. Isn't this cute? This was so fun to put together, and I just love how it turned out. Just making sure I have enough. I don't want to see any of the foam. And I think I got it pretty full. What do you think? This was such a fun DIY. I love always DIYing with like the faux succulents. Dollar General can be a great source for those as well. They have them for only $1, so they are cheaper and they're really nice looking too. But I use the Dollar Tree ones for this one specifically. And you could always use some wood crates if you wanted to make a box like this as well. For the next DIY, I thought we could make a little basket wreath for the wall using one of these little spring bags. So this is the little spring purses for little girls. I chose the pink one. I think they're really pretty. And I'm just going to go ahead and remove the little flower that was on there and any of the glue. I want to make this like a little basket wreath, but I don't really want to keep the handles on there. I want to add something a little different just to break it up a little bit, but I want to use the purse itself as the basket if we can. It is a little flat right now, but I think we can make it open up a little bit by adding some sides to it and some foam. For the sides, I'm just using some Dollar Tree wood rulers. I'm just going to cut these down to size and make little sides for this. And I was hoping that would help to open it up and make it more of a basket instead of a flat purse like this. So I just hid these inside by taking a little hot glue and gluing those on the side of the bag. And it did seem to help to open it up more for what I wanted. I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side. And what I want to do is fill this up with foam, moss, and flowers for spring. And I am going to be making a hanger on there too to hang this on the wall. I just chose one of the bigger pieces here, cut it in half, and then cut that in half. And I think that's going to fit perfectly down in here where we can add our spring florals. I want to do a little bit of floral moss first. And then for the handle, I'm just going to use a scrap piece of Dollar Tree rope. I thought that would be a little bit more interesting. And I just attached that to the wood rulers on the side there with some hot glue to make a little rope hanger for a little basket wreath. I have done a bigger basket wreath to hang like on a front door using a metal basket from the Dollar Tree. You'll have to check out that video. I did make that this year. I covered the entire thing with moss. It turned out so cute. And then we'll just add spring flowers. I love the fact that the little basket is pink, so we're going to add all kinds of fun pastel colors for flowers. until this is really full. I wanted to look like it was overflowing with lots of different flowers. So I tried to choose as many different colors as I can and just add them at one at a time, scattering them out. I just want it to look like a giant bunch of wildflowers when I'm done with it. I really like those daisies. I think those are really pretty. So added just a little bit of plain greenery to it as well, just to make it look fuller and to give it a little bit more height. To decorate our little basket, I got this little Christmas ornament on clearance after Christmas. It's a little blue bicycle, so I thought this would be perfect for spring. I saved it for a spring DIY, and I want to attach it here to the basket wreath. I think I'll do it right here at the bottom right corner. I kind of poked my petal through the little bag and attached it with hot glue, and I think this is the perfect final touch for this little basket wreath DIY. It's such an easy way to do a basket wreath using those little purses they have from the Dollar Tree. I really love this pink one, and it's so bright and festive. I definitely wanted to include this in today's video. I made this several years ago here on my channel, but I really love it and I wanted to bring it back again. Okay, the next two DIYs, I thought we could use those little flower wall decals from the Dollar Tree. And then I found some really pretty frames from Goodwill, and they're really old. And I thought we could DIY something fun with this. So I am just peeling off the back of these. What I want to salvage on these frames is the frame and the glass. I'm going to do two of them. And I thought we could do some kind of a coastal cottage theme flower DIY using those beautiful flower decals. I'm always looking at those and always thinking those would be really pretty for spring. But I often have trouble finding what to DIY them with. So I just remove the back and go ahead and take the glass out of the frame. And it's got this beautiful pattern on there. You could always use a Dollar Tree sign. You can get textured Dollar Tree signs, but really liked the antique feel of this. And so I'm just using some ivory chalk paint and a chunky brush and kind of going all over, bringing out that beautiful pattern on this frame. But kind of distressing it at the same time to kind of make it look nice and old. It was kind of a gold metallic before. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glass in these and use the flower sticker as the artwork, but not put the back on it. So I do go over it with another coat, trying to get full coverage over the gold metallic. Didn't really want any of that showing through. And I'm going to go ahead and start on the second frame as well. Just removing the back. You can tell this is an old piece because it is like really put together well. I was having to use my pliers. All kinds of tools here to get this thing taken apart. And we've got it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the glass from this one as well. And I want to hang these two signs together as a set. So I want to do the same thing on this one that we did on the first one. So just using that ivory chalk paint. Doesn't have to be chalk paint, but I did have some handy. And I am just going all over. I kind of stopped using chalk paint, just making it myself when I need it out of acrylic paint, just because I find that it does add up. If you craft a lot, it can become kind of expensive. Now, I have all these staples that you saw that I had to lift up on the back of these frames, which is going to kind of interfere with my plan here. So I'm just using some pliers and going around and ripping all of those out. So I like the antique part of this frame, but it was a little bit more work. Now I do want to bring out that beautiful pattern on it. So to do that, I'm just distressing it with Antique Wax by Waverly. And then going over that with a baby wipe to make sure that it's not too brown. I really want it to be ivory, but I want to be like a slightly distressed so that you can see that beautiful pattern on there. Totally what I'm going for. And it really reminded me of like a coastal cottage look. not really coastal farmhouse. And I'm going to do that around all the sides. And it really added to, I think, the antique appeal of this frame. I am trying to get through this voiceover, and I've had to stop like 8 times because I think I'm losing my voice. I really hope I'm not getting sick. I have not been sick forever, and I do not want to be sick. I hate being sick. I know everybody hates being sick, but dang. Okay. So now on this one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to go ahead and pop out all those staples. And I want to hang these together, but I'm actually going to attach them to kind of make them look like they're hanging together, like they came together as a set. So I'll show you that step as well. So I'm just going over this one with the Antique Wax by Waverly as well, and distressing. Isn't that pattern so pretty? And then just going over it with a baby wipe to make sure that it's not too brown. Now, these are the flowers that we're going to use. The wall decals, that beautiful light pink flower and the beautiful light blue flower. Thought they would be a great set. They come together, so only $1.25 for both. But I wanted to stress them to make them look, kind of coastal. So while they're still attached to the little wall decal thing, I just stress them with some ivory, acrylic, and a chunky brush, and wipe that off with a baby wipe just to give it a nice old weathered look. And you definitely need to do this step now before you add them to the glass if you're going to distress yours as well. I just think it makes it look older, slightly distressed, and more like, hand painted. I don't want it to look like just sticker. So I'm going to clean my glass really well since this was an old frame. And then we can attach our flower to the glass. So they're actually just giant stickers. Now be careful when you're peeling your flower off that you don't accidentally rip any of the leaves. And I'm just going to have it come from the side like that. See where I have the flat edge? I'm going to kind of put that up against the flat edge of the frame. And it fit perfectly on this size of frame, which I think is like an 8 by 10. Then we're going to go ahead and prepare the glass for the second frame as well. Getting it good and clean so this will stick down nicely. The stickers are pretty sticky, so I'm not too worried about them coming off. You could also do this with a decal as well, though. This one kind of has a flat side as well, so I'm going to do that against this side as well, and it fits on there really good too. Now I want to hang this project, and I kind of had to remove the hanger to get the back off, so I'm just going to use some of these little sawtooth hangers that you just hammer in. Just trying to find the middle of my sign to make sure that this thing's going to hang correctly. Those are definitely my favorite kind of hangers for this kind of project. I am going to attach them together, but I'm going to go ahead and do a hanger on both just because I want to make sure they're secure. I don't want them falling apart and breaking. So to attach the glass to the inside of the frame, I just do a bead of hot glue all the way around. Then working quickly, I'm going to go ahead and lay my glass in there. And it's going to give you that beautiful framed glass look with that beautiful springy flower in it. Doesn't that look cool? I think it looks really nice and old and vintage. And we're going to do the same thing here with the other frame that we painted. So just hot glue, add the frame. This is why you have to get rid of the staples and stuff that are going to be kind of in the way. And make sure you get your glass secured in there really well. Had an errant staple that I had missed before, which kind of caused my hot glue to dry up on me, but that's okay, I'll try again. And there is the pink one. So now it is time to try to attach these together. I kind of want them to look like they're attached with like ribbon, like a ribbon look, but I decided burlap was kind of more my style. So I used some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree and just attach that with hot glue to connect the two signs together. But again, I'm going to leave the hanger on there because I don't want this just to hang from the ribbon. I want it to be where I can actually use a nail to secure this to the wall. And this is how it turned out. I think this was a great use for the thrifted frames. Really fun and a fun way to use those wall stickers. Recently, my Dollar Tree clearanced out a lot of the wall stickers like this, and I was able to stock up on a lot of them. So this is a fun way to use them if you have lots of them in your craft stash as well. I really hope you enjoyed these 25 spring Dollar Tree DIYs. Let me know in the comments below which one was your favorite, or just come say hello. And this is my QR code for your phone if you would like to buy me a coffee. Enjoy the final reveal.
Just close your eyes and let them rest. I know it's hard to fall asleep, but do your best. 'Cause there's a place that I go to when I want to hide from all the shades of blue. 'Cause at times I think of leaving, my mind takes me back to fall, when the snow begins to sing goodnight to warm. But I will never leave your side. You're the reason to all my pride. Never wither and runs dry, and your roses are my guides. Goodbye, my friend, our love remains, but not this way. I'm in your garden as a tale. Just feel the wind. If you look close, you see the lilies dance and how they slowly grow. I'm counting years as they go by. Now all the lilies gone and days is brought to life. 'Cause at times I think of leaving, my mind takes me back to fall, when the snow begins to sing goodnight to all. But I will never leave your side. You're the reason to all my pride. Never wither and runs dry, and your roses are my guides. Goodbye, my friend, our love remains, but not this way. I'm in your garden as a tale. But I will never leave your side. You're the reason to all my pride. Never wither and runs dry, and your roses are my guides. Goodbye, my friend, our love remains, but not this way. I'm in your garden as a tale. I know you'll meet me here one day. In a world of green, just like a dream, you and I standing wild and free, with petals so golden, the sun's warm kiss, a love so strong, a bliss. Whispers of the breeze, nights unfold, it's you that I need, it's you that I want. When the world gets cold, it's you and me. When the sun comes back, you'll see. Oh, dandelion, the strength that you've shown, stronger each year. Look how we hold on through the toughest of times. We still stand strong. Through pavement we will grow. Forever we will grow. Deep within your eyes, I found a home. The love that we share can never grow. In your gaze, the world looks bright. Forever by your side. This town is quiet, serene and wide. You keep me warm and safe at night. No matter the season, we always bloom, 'cause you light up the gloom. Oh, dandelion, the strength that you've shown, stronger each year. Look how we hold on through the toughest of times. We still stand strong. Through pavement we will grow. Oh, dandelion, the strength that you've shown, stronger each year. Look how we hold on through the toughest of times. We still stand strong. Through pavement we will grow.
Thank you so much for joining me today on the Spring Crafting Marathon. I'd also like to thank my YouTube members for supporting my channel. Thank you so much to Jamie Job, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, Maren Christensen, Adrian Brolt, Debbie Middleton, Red Mama, Pal Puppy Life, Renee Albanese, Jenny, Debbie Austin, and Lizette Thomas. Remember, members get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube, and we would love for you to join. My husband and I are actually on a cruise right now in the Southern Caribbean, and I definitely wanted to bring you some spring crafting content while we are gone. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you would like some more spring crafting DIYs, be sure to check out one of these DIY videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting!